There is a power that resides not in what you were, not even in what you are, but in what you are becoming. Life is not stagnant. It is a journey of transformation, a process that molds, stretches, and shapes you into the vessel you were always meant to be. Some of you have been stuck because you have only defined yourself by yesterday's failures or today's limitations. But I came to tell you, you are not yet finished. You are becoming. Becoming means embracing the tension between what is and what shall be. It means refusing to let the present confine you, refusing to let pain define you, and refusing to let fear restrain you. You may have been broken, but broken pieces in the hands of purpose can still create something whole. Becoming requires surrender, surrender to growth, surrender to stretching, surrender to the unseen work that God is doing in the hidden places of your life. Think about it, a seed does not look like the tree it will become. A caterpillar does not resemble the butterfly it is destined to be. And yet, within them is everything they need to manifest that transformation. You may not see it now, you may not feel it now, but there is glory locked inside of you that can only be revealed through the process of becoming. Becoming is not about perfection. It is about progression. Every stumble is still a step forward if you don't give up. Every tear waters the soil of your destiny. Every season of waiting is preparing you for elevation. The process may not feel good, but it is working for your good. So do not despise the season of becoming. Do not curse the cocoon, for the cocoon is the place where wings are born. Do not mourn the pruning, for the pruning is proof that you are destined to bear more fruit. Do not resent the pressure, for diamonds are only created under pressure. You are not where you used to be, but you are not yet where you are going. You are in the middle, and the middle is messy, but the middle is necessary. The middle is the birthing room of destiny. The middle is the place where you outgrow your old skin and step into the new. The power of becoming is that it reveals not only what you can do, but who you truly are. It pulls out hidden strength, unlocks buried gifts, and ignites a fire that nothing and no one can put out. You were not created to remain as you are. You were created to become. And as long as you are still becoming, you are still powerful. Becoming is a journey, not a destination. And to understand the true power of this statement, one must embrace the reality that life is never still, never static, never content with letting you remain as you are. You are not the sum total of one moment, one season, or one chapter of your life. You are evolving, and everything you experience is contributing to that evolution. The danger comes when people convince themselves that where they are now is all they will ever be. Some people stop dreaming because of what they have endured. Others stop believing because their current reality seems too hard to overcome. But becoming is about refusing to settle, about knowing that who you are today is not the final version of yourself. There is more in you waiting to be revealed, waiting to be stretched, waiting to be manifested. That is why life pushes you forward even when you want to stand still, because the design on your life is movement, progression, and transformation. When we look at the process of becoming, it often feels uncomfortable because it requires you to leave familiar ground. You cannot become who you are destined to be while clinging to who you used to be. Growth demands separation. It demands that you shed old habits, old environments, and sometimes even old relationships that cannot support your future. This is where many people struggle because comfort feels safe, but comfort is also the enemy of growth. If a seed refused to break open, the tree inside it could never emerge. If a child refused to leave the womb, it could never experience life. Becoming requires that something in you breaks open, that something in you lets go, That something in you embraces the uncertainty of stepping into uncharted territory. The beauty of this journey is that it does not happen overnight. It is gradual, it is layered, and it is deeply personal. Every failure, every setback, every disappointment is a chisel in the hand of destiny, shaping you into who you are supposed to be. You may not see it while you are going through it, but nothing is wasted. Even your mistakes become part of the process. They are not meant to define you. They are meant to refine you. And though the refining process feels like fire, it is that very fire that burns away what no longer serves you and leaves only what is pure, strong, and true. Becoming also teaches you patience. We live in a culture that glorifies instant results, where people want success without sacrifice and elevation without endurance. But real transformation does not happen that way. You cannot microwave destiny. You cannot rush the unfolding of purpose. Just as a caterpillar must endure the darkness of the cocoon before it spreads its wings, so too must you endure the seasons of waiting, the seasons of silence, and the seasons of preparation. These are not wasted times, they are essential times. They are the places where resilience is built, where strength is forged, where identity is clarified. What feels like delay is often divine development, preparing you to carry what you have been called to carry. And yet, even in the waiting, there are glimpses of who you are becoming. You begin to see yourself differently, to think differently, to move differently. The same situations that once broke you no longer have the same power because you are growing into a stronger version of yourself. The conversations you tolerate begin to change. The environments you settle for begin to shift. This is evidence of becoming, the gradual unfolding of the person you were always meant to be. It does not come with fanfare. It does not announce itself loudly, but it shows up in the quiet ways you rise after falling, the subtle ways you refuse to quit, the determined ways you keep pressing forward even when the odds are stacked against you. Ultimately, becoming is a journey of alignment. It is not about trying to imitate someone else or fit into someone else's mold. It is about aligning with the original design that has been inside you all along. The seed already carries the blueprint of the tree. The caterpillar already carries the DNA of the butterfly. And you too already carry within you everything needed to step into your true self. The process of becoming is simply the unfolding of what was always inside you. That is why you cannot compare your journey to someone else's. Their process is theirs, and yours is yours. To compare would be to miss the uniqueness of your own becoming, to dismiss the beauty of what is emerging in you in exchange for envy of what is happening in someone else. But your becoming is sacred. Your becoming is significant, and your becoming is proof that you are still growing, still transforming, still moving toward the fullness of who you were created to be. Your past does not define your future, and yet so many people lie trapped in the shadows of what they have been through. They rehearse old failures in their minds until those failures become chains around their present. They allow the echoes of what others said about them to become the soundtrack of their lives. But the truth is, no matter how dark, how painful, or how disappointing your past may have been, it does not have the authority to dictate where you are going. The scars of yesterday are not the prophecy of tomorrow. What happened to you may have shaped you, but it cannot stop you unless you let it. There is more written in the story of your life than the chapter you've already read. Think about how many people have been limited not by what they can do, but by what they remember. They carry shame like a heavy garment, and they measure every new opportunity against the failures of yesterday. They hesitate to try again because the last time it didn't work. They fear to love again because the last time they were broken. They hold back their gifts because the last time someone rejected them. But if your past had the final say, you would not still be here. The very fact that you are still breathing is proof that the author of your life is not finished writing. You are standing in today, looking toward tomorrow, and the power of tomorrow will always outweigh the pain of yesterday. Every great life is marked by moments of brokenness. Yet brokenness does not mean the end. The ground must be broken for the seed to be planted. The vessel must be crushed for the oil to flow. The past is not a prison, it is preparation. The things you thought disqualified you are often the very things that will qualify you to reach others, to build strength, to live with wisdom. When you look back, what you once saw as failure may later be revealed as training, equipping you with the resilience you need for your next season. That is why you cannot despise your past, but you also cannot let it hold you hostage. There is a danger in defining yourself by the labels others placed on you when you were in your most vulnerable moments. People saw you at your weakest and assumed that was all you would ever be. They called you broken. They called you worthless. They called you a failure. But people do not have the authority to name what they did not create. Your true identity was never in the mistakes you made or the seasons you endured. Your true identity lies in the potential of what you are becoming. The caterpillar's crawling does not cancel the butterfly's flight. The mud on the diamond does not change its value. Your past is only a snapshot, not the full picture. To overcome the grip of the past, you must be willing to change your perspective. Instead of looking at what you lost, look at what you learned. Instead of rehearsing the pain, rehearse the lessons. Instead of replaying the betrayal, recognize the strength it forced you to discover. Your mind is the battleground where your future is either birthed or buried. If you continue to feed your past with your focus, you will give it power it no longer deserves. But when you shift your focus toward possibility, toward vision, toward hope, you strip the past of its ability to dictate your tomorrow. It is not denial, it is redefining. It is deciding that what happened then cannot be allowed to poison what is happening now. The truth is, every person who has ever done something significant carried a past with them. Some came out of poverty, some came out of abuse, some came out of addiction, some came out of rejection. But they refused to let where they came from dictate where they were going. They made a decision to rise above it, to use it as fuel instead of as a chain. The same can be true for you. You can choose to take the bricks others threw at you and build with them. You can choose to take the tears you cried and let them water the soil of your destiny. You can choose to see the past not as a graveyard, but as a foundation. What was meant to bury you can become the very thing that lifts you. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. It may have given you some scars, but those scars are signs that you survived. And survival means there is still purpose ahead. When you embrace this truth, you stop apologizing for where you have been and start stepping boldly into where you are going. You stop shrinking in shame and start walking in strength. You stop rehearsing the pain and start releasing the potential. Because the past is behind you, and the only power it still holds is the power you allow it to have. The process is essential because nothing of value is ever produced without a journey of transformation, without the tension of growth, without the friction of development. So many people want the glory without the grind, the blessing without the breaking, the harvest without the sowing, but life does not work that way. Every masterpiece must endure the touch of the sculptor's chisel. Every diamond must endure the crushing weight of pressure. Every warrior must endure the training of battle before stepping into victory. The process cannot be bypassed. It cannot be skipped. It cannot be avoided, because the process is what gives strength to the promise. The process is the place where character is built, and character is more important than talent, more important than opportunity, more important than recognition. Talent can open doors, but only character will keep them open. Opportunity can place you on a stage, but only discipline will allow you to remain there. Without the process, you may arrive too early, unprepared, immature, unable to handle the weight of what is waiting for you. That is why the process sometimes feels like delay, but it is really protection. It shields you from entering a season you are not yet equipped to sustain. It forces you to confront weaknesses, to confront insecurities, to confront the parts of you that cannot carry the destiny you are designed for. When you look at nature, nothing great emerges fully formed. The seed does not become a tree in a day. It must first be buried, hidden in the soil, pressed into darkness where no one can see the work that is happening. It must endure seasons of watering, seasons of waiting, seasons where nothing visible is happening on the surface, even though everything vital is happening underneath. That is the essence of the process. It is invisible, it is often uncelebrated, it is misunderstood, but it is absolutely essential. The cocoon that holds the caterpillar looks restrictive, uncomfortable, unnecessary, but is the very place where wings are formed. Without the cocoon, there is no butterfly. Without the process, there is no transformation. The process also reveals authenticity. It strips away what is superficial and shallow and leaves only what is strong and sustainable. When storms come, it is the tree with deep roots that survives, not the one that grew tall overnight without foundation. The process forces you to develop roots before you grow branches. It forces you to dig deep before you rise high. And while that digging may feel exhausting, it is preparing you for endurance. Because elevation without foundation leads to collapse, but growth through process leads to stability. The storms of life are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to test what you have built, to expose what is weak, and to confirm what is strong. In the process, you also discover resilience. You learn to rise after failure, to push after rejection, to believe after disappointment. Resilience is not something you can read about. It is something you must live through. It is forged in the fire of trials, in the loneliness of waiting, in the disappointment of closed doors. And as painful as it feels, that resilience is the very thing that will keep you steady when opportunity finally arrives. Because success without resilience leads to pride and fragility, but success with resilience leads to humility and strength. The process is not just shaping what you will do, it is shaping who you will be when you get there. And though the process may feel like wilderness, it is in the wilderness that vision becomes clear. In the wilderness, distractions are stripped away, and you are forced to depend on strength greater than your own. The wilderness teaches you to trust what you cannot see, to believe what you cannot touch, to endure what you cannot yet understand. The wilderness is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the training ground where you are shaped for the next dimension of your life. It is the classroom where lessons are taught that no success could ever teach you. It is the place where you discover that you can endure more than you thought, believe stronger than you imagined, and grow deeper than you ever knew. Many people resist the process because it feels too long, too painful, too uncertain. But the very length of the process is what ensures lasting transformation. Quick success without the process leads to shallow roots. Rapid elevation without preparation leads to sudden collapse. But slow, steady Intentional growth produces fruit that remains. It produces strength that cannot be shaken, wisdom that cannot be deceived, vision that cannot be clouded. The process is not your enemy, it is your ally. It is not there to stop you, it is there to shape you. It is not meant to punish you, it is meant to prepare you. Everything of worth is produced in the process, and the greater the promise, the deeper the process required. Progress over perfection is the heartbeat of true growth, because life was never designed to be flawless, it was designed to be fruitful. So many people paralyze themselves, waiting to be perfect before they begin, waiting until everything is aligned, waiting until they feel completely ready, waiting until all the doubts are silenced. And in doing so, they never move at all. Perfection is an illusion, but progress is a reality. Every step forward, no matter how small, carries power. Every attempt, even when imperfect, moves you closer to becoming who you were created to be. Progress is the evidence of life, because anything that is alive is growing, and anything that is growing is changing. Perfection places a weight on your shoulders that you were never meant to carry. It whispers that unless you get everything right, you are not worthy of moving forward. It convinces you that failure disqualifies you, that mistakes define you, that flaws make you unfit for greatness. But progress whispers another truth, that every stumble is still motion, that every fall is still forward, that every scar is still a sign of survival. Progress says that it is better to walk limping toward destiny than to sit still waiting for perfection to appear, because perfection never arrives, but progress is always within reach. The person who keeps moving, flawed and fragile, will always accomplish more than the one who sits immobile, obsessed with an unattainable standard. The power of progress is that it teaches resilience. Each time you try, fail, and rise again, you are learning something about yourself that perfection could never teach. Perfection hides behind the mask of appearance, but progress reveals the truth of perseverance. It shows you that your strength is not in flawless execution, but in relentless pursuit. That pursuit builds endurance, and endurance builds character. And character is more valuable than the applause of appearing perfect, because it sustains you when no one is watching. Progress forms a strength within you that cannot be shaken by criticism, cannot be destroyed by failure, cannot be diminished by comparison. Progress also requires humility. To move forward imperfectly means being willing to admit that you don't know it all, that you don't have it all together, that you will make mistakes along the way. That humility keeps you teachable, and a teachable spirit can grow, can adapt, can learn. The person chasing perfection often hides behind pride, unwilling to risk being seen in weakness, unwilling to expose their humanity. But the person who embraces progress accepts that weakness is part of the journey. And in doing so, they allow themselves to be shaped by the lessons of every season. Humility opens the door for wisdom, because wisdom is only given to those who admit they need it and need it. Every great achievement in history was born out of progress, not perfection. Great inventors failed countless times before their breakthrough. Great leaders made mistakes that taught them how to lead better. Great artists produced imperfect works before they created masterpieces. The thread that connects them all is not perfection, but persistence. Not flawlessness, but faithfulness. Not never failing, but never quitting. Each attempt, even when flawed, carried them closer to success. The same is true for your life. Every effort matters. Every step adds up. Every day you choose to keep going, no matter how messy it looks, you are inching closer to the fulfillment of your purpose. Progress over perfection also releases you from the trap of comparison. Perfection thrives on measuring yourself against others, constantly asking if you are as good, as successful, as talented, as polished as the person next to you. Progress asks only one question: are you better today than you were yesterday? Progress frees you from the anxiety of competing with everyone else and focuses your energy on cultivating your own path, your own gifts, your own destiny. Because the race is not about outpacing your neighbor, it is about outgrowing your former self. That is the true standard of growth. And that standard is attainable for every single person willing to keep moving. The journey of progress also teaches gratitude. When you stop chasing perfection, you begin to notice the small victories along the way. You celebrate the fact that you survived what tried to destroy you. You rejoice over the strength you didn't know you had. You give thanks for the doors that opened after so many closed. Gratitude turns progress into joy, even when the journey is still unfinished. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you are gaining, from how far you have to go to how far you have already come. That perspective empowers you to keep pressing, to keep climbing, to keep believing. Progress over perfection liberates you from fear, because fear is always tied to the question of what if I fail? But when you embrace progress, failure is no longer final. It is simply part of the process. Every misstep becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a stepping stone. Every disappointment becomes a classroom. Fear loses its grip because you know that even in failure, you are still moving, still learning, still becoming. The one who embraces progress is unstoppable because nothing, neither failure nor criticism nor delay, has the power to halt their journey. The pursuit of perfection will paralyze you, but the pursuit of progress will transform you, because life is not about flawless execution. It is about faithful motion, designing the in between season, the place between where you used to be and where you are going is often the most difficult space to occupy, because it does not look like the promise, but it no longer feels like the past. It is the middle ground, the place where you are no longer who you were, but not yet who you will be. And that tension can feel overwhelming. The middle is messy because it strips away certainty. It challenges your patience. It exposes your doubts, and it stretches your faith. It is in the middle that you wrestle with questions, wondering if the journey is worth it, wondering if the process is working, wondering if you will ever see the fullness of what was promised. The middle will test your endurance, because it is long enough to make you forget how far you have come, but not yet close enough to make you feel the finish line. The middle season is where most people are tempted to give up, because the excitement of starting has worn off, and the joy of arriving has not yet come. It is easy to celebrate the beginning, full of vision, full of determination, full of energy. It is easy to celebrate the end when the fruit is visible, when the harvest is in your hands. But the middle is quiet, hidden, difficult. And that is why it is so important. Because the middle is not about celebration, it is about formation. It is where you are forged, where your roots go deep, where your resilience is tested, and where your faith is purified. The middle is the proving ground where you learn whether you can be consistent when no one is clapping, whether you can stay faithful when there is no recognition, whether you can keep going when you cannot see the reward. The middle is also the place of shedding. It is in the middle that old versions of you fall away. The things you carried in the past begin to feel too heavy for where you are going. Relationships that made sense in the last season may no longer fit in the new. Habits that sustained you yesterday may not be strong enough to carry you tomorrow. The middle forces you to confront what cannot come with you into your next dimension. It demands that you release in order to receive. Just as a snake sheds its skin or a butterfly breaks free from its cocoon, the middle season is about letting go of what no longer serves your destiny. And though letting go can feel like loss, it is actually making room for increase. In the middle, you also discover strength you did not know you had. The pressure reveals your capacity. The waiting reveals your perseverance. The uncertainty reveals your faith. You do not know how strong you are until strength is the only option. You do not know how resilient you are until life gives you no other choice but to rise again. The middle pushes you beyond your limits, beyond your comfort zone, beyond the shallow waters, into the deep places where true growth occurs. You may cry in the middle, you may question in the middle, but you will also find out that there is more inside you than you ever imagined. The middle does not come to destroy you. It comes to introduce you to the version of yourself that could not be revealed in ease. The middle is often misunderstood because it looks like delay, but delay is not denial. What feels like pause is often preparation. Just because you do not see movement does not mean growth is not happening. Think of a tree in winter. The branches look bare. The ground looks lifeless. But beneath, the surface roots are stretching deeper, preparing to sustain greater growth when the season shifts. So it is with the middle. The silence, the stillness, the waiting are not wasted. They are working behind the scenes, strengthening your foundation so that when the time comes, you can carry the weight of the promise. Without the middle, you would lack the stability to sustain what is coming. The middle is also the birthplace of vision. When you are no longer distracted by the noise of the beginning and not yet blinded by the brightness of the outcome, you begin to see more clearly what truly matters. You refine your priorities, you adjust your values, you clarify your goals. The middle strips away illusions and teaches you what is real. It reveals who is truly for you and who only celebrated the idea of you. It reveals what you actually believe when all you have is faith. It is in the middle that you learn not to lean on external validation, but to find internal conviction. And conviction will always carry you further than applause. The in between may be messy, but it is necessary. It is the cocoon of destiny, the womb of purpose, the training ground of greatness. It is not the place to quit. It is the place to dig deeper, to believe stronger, to trust more fully. The middle is temporary, but what it produces is permanent. The middle is the place where you stop surviving and start transforming, where you stop crawling and start preparing to fly, where you stop holding on to what was and start